welcome back to another week of Eye of the Storm, a Guelph Storm podcast with myself, Ryan Drury, the voice of your Guelph Storm on Rogers TV. And I'm very pleased to be joined by a very special guest today on his return to the Royal City. He probably won't be here for long because the NHL will come calling again. Mr. Jett Luchanko. Jett, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. And like I said, the NHL, people were getting a little scared in the Royal City that you may not return. But after playing in 4 games with the Philadelphia Flyers, you're back in the Royal City. How was it coming back to Guelph? And I'm sure it was nice to see all the guys and get settled in. How has that process been so far?
Yeah, it's great to be back and to see everyone again. I love it here. I love, the guys, the team, my billets here and everyone here close to home as well. So it's great to be back and back with the boys.
Well, let's talk about what was going on before you came back because you've had a pretty eventful summer and early fall. Let's go all the way back to June 28th of this year, a huge night for yourself and your family. You were selected 13th overall in the first round by the Philadelphia Flyers. Take us back to draft night and what that experience was like for you and your family. You were looking sharp, man. You had a good suit on and everything. You were looking good.
Thank
Take
you.
us through the whole experience. What was it like to get your name called in the NHL, bud?
Yeah, it was a dream come true. It was a it was a cool spot in Vegas. We had a lot of fun there with my family. I had a good amount of family there and a couple friends too. So it was really cool to be there. And then at the Sphere was a really cool setup too. And they treat us very well there. And yeah, to hear my name called was a dream come true for sure and something I'll never forget.
So I want to take you back even further before that, toward the end of the season. Some of our collective eyebrows in the media room started to get raised a little bit when we saw Daniel Briere, the general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, in town. And we kind of coyly asked him, hey, anybody in particular you're here to watch? And he kind of just raised an eyebrow and said, I think you guys know who I'm here to see. And we were like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Before the draft, I know teams talk to you guys and ask you a bunch of different questions. Did you have a pretty good indication going into draft night that Philly was a possible destination for you?
Not really, honestly. I had a good talk with them at the combine, but I that was the only time I really spoke with them. I knew they were pretty high on me, but I didn't know that they were going to take me. But at the end of the day, I'm glad they did. It's a great organization and a great spot, so I'm really glad they did.
You know, when you go to the combine and teams sit you guys down, sometimes they sit you down. Do they still do the questionnaire thing where they ask you a bunch of questions and some of them are pretty crazy at times? Like, did you have to answer some wild questions during your sit down with any of the teams?
I didn't I kind of went in expecting a little bit of that, and because you hear stories and all of that, but it wasn't that much. Like it was pretty standard questions from every team. I think maybe at one or two like weird ones, but I mean there wasn't anything crazy. Just kind of the classic. If you were to be an animal, like that's a weird one, but I mean
What did
there's
you
the
pick?
other ones were pretty standard. They said you couldn't pick a dog or a lion. I was gonna pick a lion because I mean it's pretty simple, but I ended up going with the jaguar on the spot, and I think they liked it.
Hey, it's pretty good. Well, actually, that kind of makes sense. The style you play. Jaguars are real sneaky, but when they go to attack, they're pretty hard to stop. That kind of sounds like you on the ice. So that makes sense. Jaguar, I like that. I remember I know a few people who have played in the league, and I remember a guy told me once that one of the questions that he got asked was like, you're in a hostage situation and you escape, and on the table in front of you is a handgun, a shotgun, and a chainsaw. Which one would you pick? Like, they used to throw out some wild stuff back in the day.
Yeah,
That was in the
there's
late
definitely a lot of
80s.
stories about that. I didn't really feel
Yeah.
like it was crazy at all. Maybe they're softening up a little bit, but
Yeah, maybe they toned it down because he told me that and I was like, there's no way they asked you. He's like, I'm dead serious. That was a question I didn't really know how to answer. You go through the combine, you get drafted, and then of course you head to your first NHL training camp. You touch down in Philadelphia. It's a legendary sports city. I mean, what was that feeling like getting off the plane and knowing, hey, I'm gonna be an NHLer for the next little while?
yeah, it was cool. Like you said, Philly's a great sports city. They got, all their teams right now are doing really well. The Phillies were top in baseball for a bit. Eagles are doing well, and the Sixers are a great team too. So it's really cool city to be a part of, and the fans there are really really great, especially with sports. That's kind of the biggest thing. Their ride to drive with their sports teams. So it was really cool to kind of be a part of that city, and the team too. It was really cool to be a part of that training camp, and the team. It's a lot of fun playing with those players and being around them, kind of seeing what they do day to day.
Yeah, I mean that city, you talk about the fan base there. They're passionate almost to a fault. I mean, maybe someday you'll be in a cup final and score a goal that inspires everybody to climb the street poles again. I don't know if you remember back in the Super Bowl there, they had to wax the street poles to keep people from
Really,
climbing them. Yeah, because people were
I'm
like
not surprised.
climbing on the street poles. And so they got a bunch of city staff to go out and like oil them down so people would slide off. Yeah, they're
I'm actually not
Philadelphia's
surprised.
hey, I mean, we are talking about a city that threw batteries at Santa Claus that one time. So they are passionate. I want to ask you a little bit about, did you get to go out and kind of check the city out? Did you go see the Rocky statue? Did you see the Liberty Bell, all that stuff? Were you able to kind of experience the city of brotherly love?
Yeah, I was. I have cousins that live probably an hour out of there, so
Nice.
a couple times on off days I'd kind of hang out with them, and if my parents were down for games or anything, they could stay there and we could hang out. So yeah, I went. We saw the Rocky statue and downtown and everything, and then we went to a Phillies game in the playoffs too, as with the team. So and that was really cool, especially in the playoffs. You could really see the Philly sports fans there and pretty much standing the whole game. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that would have been fun, man. I have to ask the obligatory Rocky question. Did you run up the stairs with your arms up?
No, I didn't. I just walked
You
up and then didn't
okay,
put my hands
that's
up.
cool. I feel like the reaction you had though, someone in your group did do it though. You witnessed a few people do it, maybe.
I didn't. No one did it.
Wow. I'm very surprised. The temptation would be hard to resist. I gotta be
Mhm.
honest.
I'm
Uh
surprised, bro.
the Phillies, when you got to go to that game, I'm sure that you guys will interact with them over the years. Are you a big baseball guy? I mean, the World Series just wrapped up. Like, is there anybody on the Phillies you'd love to meet and have a chat with?
I was a big Blue Jays fan. I'm usually kind of into baseball when they're good, but I didn't really honestly know anyone on the team before. I mean, Bryce Harper, I guess, but I didn't really know the team very well before coming in. But I like baseball, but I haven't really been into it much recently. I can kind of see myself getting back into it right now, but I didn't really know anyone. Bryce Harper would be cool to meet, but
Yeah, he's a perennial MVP candidate. He's an all-star and hopefully will lead the Phillies to some more success. A Canadian guy manages them, Rob Thompson. He's from
mhm.
Sarnia, so you got a connection there. And I'm sure they're gonna have another great year next year. Being that you're more of a Blue Jays fan, which I'm right in lockstep with you there. I'm sure you were maybe happy to see the Yankees not win the World Series.
Oh yeah, anytime though anyone in that division goes down, it's great. Those teams are always they always do well, which is annoying. So I'm with you on that for sure.
100%. Let's talk a bit about camp because you got to go there with a number of really great young players, including some guys that you play with from your hometown that are playing with the London Knights. Obviously, Denver Barkey, Oliver Bonk, so you would have had a bit of familiarity there, and there were a bunch of other great young players in attendance too. What was the camp experience like? Take me through a typical day of training camp. You wake up, then what happens?
We're waking up pretty early and we're going to the rink. On a typical day, we're probably practicing, having a scrimmage and working out. So in what order, I don't know, but that was a typical day. And the practices were tough. So those days were really tough, especially, scrimmaging with guys who are really fast and good players and tough and strong. And then, hopping off that and going, onto the practice ice 10 minutes later and then running through a tough long practice. And then obviously with Torts, we're doing a skate at the end, some sort of skate. So I mean those days are pretty tough, but it's good to get in shape and I think it's helped me at this point.
You bring up the skate with Torts. Let's talk about the rope test. It's a thing that he's been famous for a long time. He's been doing it for years. As a matter of fact, your current head coach Corey Stillman would have participated in a couple of these back in the Tampa Bay days. It must do something. I mean, he won a Stanley Cup for him back then, so I'm sure you and Corey are going to be able to have some Torts conversations. What is that experience like? Because like TSN did a little feature on it and everything. It's kind of become one of those, almost, mythical things that guys experience when they're playing for Torts. Tell me about it. What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was funny that video they made it look like it was a horror movie trailer or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Corey, I was talking to Corey about it before I went, and actually it was a lot worse back when he did it. So, but now it's tough and it's kind of everyone talks about leading up to it. It's usually on the first day, so it really sets the tone and it's a lot of laps is what it is and it's you kind of legs lock up pretty quickly. But at the end of the day, it's good to get it done. It's a great feeling when it's over, but it is definitely really tough.
I want to ask you too, just about the relationship you're developing with the front office there. Obviously, I mentioned Danny Briere, who came to Guelph to watch you last year prior to the draft, and they've got some good people there in the front office, and some people who've had a lot of success. Keith Jones, Danny. What's it like, forming a relationship with that guy? Because he was a smaller player, beloved in Philly, did a lot of great things, played a similar game to you, very skilled, could kill penalties. What kind of conversations did you have with him post draft and heading into camp, leading up to you ultimately making the team out of camp? What were those conversations with Mr. Briere like?
Yeah, he's amazing. It's really good to have him as a guy in my corner as well as Keith Jones and kind of everyone in that organization. The staff there is amazing and makes it pretty easy to kind of just go and do your job and play hard for them. So I think especially with Danny, he's obviously done it before and he knows what it's like to be a player pretty recently too. So our conversations have always been positive and he's really easy to get along with and he's not making you feel like he's putting pressure on you or anything like that. He's easy to talk to, easy to play for. So I think I'm lucky to have him in my corner.
I want to talk to you a little bit too about, obviously, you go through development camp, you go through regular training camp, and then you find out that you've made the team out of camp. What was that moment like for you as a young hockey player? You've dreamed about playing in the NHL your whole life, and you get told the news that you're going to play in your first NHL game and you've made it out of training camp. Take me through that moment and telling your family about it.
Yeah, that was the first thing I did right away was call my family. Obviously, I went in not really expecting. to stay as long as I did. So that was a really cool moment, dream come true, obviously, and I was really excited to tell my parents, tell my family and friends, and because those are the people that I wouldn't have been able to do it without, and if they didn't make all those sacrifices growing up and helping me and staying positive with me always. So I think I was really excited to kind of just tell them, and that was probably the biggest part of it for me. But yeah, a dream come true for sure, and I was really excited.
Now, your first NHL game, you know, I'm sure that that was a wild experience. Were your parents able to make it? It was during a West Coast road swing. Were your parents there? And what was that day like for you? I mean, you wake up and it probably kind of hits you. I'm going to play my first NHL game tonight. What was that whole experience like?
Yeah, it was cool, and it was in Vancouver, and yeah, I mean, everyone's kind of just telling you enjoy the moment. You only get this once, but obviously in my mind, kind of just going crazy and thinking about the game. But I think yeah, my parents were there. We have a little bit of family in Vancouver, which is perfect. So they stayed with them, and the team was able to take care of their travel and stuff. So it was really cool to share that moment with them and a little bit, to get them to reconnect with some of the family that's in Vancouver was cool as well. But yeah, it was just to go up against NHL players who I've seen on TV every day. It's just weird to see them in person, and then yeah, it kind of hits you when you just see those kind of players in person and you're lining up against them. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, you get to skate out there, and it's Elias Pettersson and Brock Besser and JT Miller. I mean, what a wild experience that would have been. I watched. I was really proud of you, man. It was so cool to see. And you actually made history as well. And I don't know how aware of it you might have been at the time. I'm sure you've heard it nonstop since. You're the youngest player to ever make their debut for the Philadelphia Flyers. And when you look back on the history of this organization, I mean, that is really impressive when you consider that's a team that Bobby Clark played for, Dave Poulin, Sean Couturier, Jeff Carter. I mean, you're talking about Hall of Fame guys. I mean, Dave the Hammer Schultz, Barber, Leach. Like, you're the youngest guy ever to do it in franchise history among all those greats. What does that mean to you, if anything, Jet? Because, I think that's something that you should be really proud of.
Yeah, it's an honor. There's obviously great players, like you said, have been through the organization, but I mean, it's just nothing much than a late birthday. But I think there's definitely a lot of great players who have come through. So to be anywhere in the history of the Flyers is definitely an honor to me.
Jett Luchanko, humble to a fault. I think it's a really cool honor, man. And you end up playing 4 games for the Flyers, and you would have interacted a lot with the coaching staff leading up and camp and all that stuff. Guys often talk about when they reflect back on their careers, like a welcome to the NHL moment. I mean, did you have that? Does a moment stick out to you, whether it was learning you were sticking with the team, taking the ice for the first time in a regular season game? Like, does one moment stick out where you were kind of like, wow, like, look at this, I'm here. This is the show.
Yeah, I think I would probably just say playing against the Oilers. Just kind of, I took the opening draw of that game against McDavid. It probably would have been that moment right there. Just to kind of just to see them out there, him and Draisaitl and all those guys who just made a big run in the playoffs and probably will again. It's weird to see. I didn't really feel like I was actually there because, but yeah, I just tried not to look them in the eyes and just tried to play my game. But I would definitely say that game against those guys.
Well, someday they're going to be scared to look you in the eye, Jack, because you're going to take that league by storm. We all know it. And I figured that would probably be a standout moment leaning in against McJesus there. That'd be pretty darn special. I want to talk to you too just about some of your teammates there in Philly. I mean, you show up and they got a great group of veterans there, but it's a young team. I mean, there's a lot of great young players. Who were some guys that you kind of connected with right away and started to form a bond with and a relationship with?
Yeah, the guys there are great. They made it easy on me to feel comfortable and be confident with myself and my game. So I think guys like, the older guys are great to me, and guys like Scott Lawton and Travis Konecny and Couturier, they're great leaders on that team, and they, like I said, they made it easy on me. And then the young guys are great too. There's a good amount of them as well, and then there's Mitch Cobb was close to my age too, and so guys like that I kind of could hang around with a lot more and connect with. And like I said, that team in that room made it pretty easy. They were great.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you specifically too about this Matvey Michkov kid. He's taken the league by storm, and he's obviously a very highly touted prospect for good reason. Obviously, what was it like practicing with him? Because when he came over, guys didn't know a whole lot about him. He was a bit of a mystery man, if you will, and then he comes over, and right away, like his first day at camp, he tries to pull the Michigan, and everybody's like, wow, okay, look at this kid. Like, what was it like? Break his game down for us if you can.
Yeah, he's a special player for sure. I knew, obviously didn't really know his game like you said, but I think the first rookie camp practices and games, I realized he was pretty good, and I played with him a lot in those games, and it was really fun and really easy on me. He's a lot better passer than I thought. I thought he was kind of just a goal scorer, but he made some of the best passes I've ever seen. So I think he's going to be a great player for a long time, and he's yeah, he's very skilled, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of that. He's still young and he's doing really good. So I think we'll see a lot more from him. I honestly think he wasn't very happy with his game so far. So I think there's lots more to come.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a potential future line mate for you. So I'm glad to hear that. I'm sure Philly fans are. I want to ask you too, just a little bit about developing a relationship with Torts, because I mean, like he's a mercurial guy, if you will. Like a lot of people have an opinion of him, and that's really not the way he is. He has a bit of a reputation for being a rough and gruff guy, but that's kind of a face he puts on for the media. I mean, he's obviously a very good coach. He's been doing it for a long time, won a cup. What's it like interacting with him and having him as a coach, and that early relationship that you started to build with him, Jett?
Yeah, he's an amazing coach. I think the media kind of gives him a bad rap, and you see all the videos and things. But if you ask any player who's played with him, I think they all love him. He cares a lot. He cares the most, and he'll have a conversation with you about everything, and he's not going to tell you, what you want to hear, which is something that I respect. And I think a lot of coaches will do that. They'll kind of just tell you what you want to hear, but he's gonna give it to you straight, which is great. And he cares a lot. And he wants the best for every player and the team. So I think, he's from what I've seen from him so far, he's been great, and I'm excited to hopefully work with him a little more.
I'm sure you will. I mean, yeah, and he's kind of a old school tough love dad. He cares, but he's going to tell you what's up, and I think that that's something you have to respect. Selfishly, I have to ask as well. You would have interacted a lot, and done some penalty kill meetings and done some penalty kill work as well for someone special in my life, my cousin Brad Shaw.
Oh
What
yeah,
was it like interacting with Coach Shaw?
he's great. You can tell he's really smart. He's got the video going at all times, and he's always kind of pulling guys aside. And some of the guys have had him in years past, and they love him. So he's really smart, I think, and he's really great for that team. The penalty kill was doing really well as well. So he's awesome.
I'm going to clip that and send this to the NHL offices. I've been pining for years that cousin Brad deserves another head coaching job someday. So I'm glad to hear a positive review. Way to go, Brad. I want to fire away a couple rapid fire questions at you here. I mean, it is Halloween. We're recording and debuting this on Halloween. What's the best Halloween costume you ever wore as a kid growing up?
I was a hockey player, and but I was wearing rollerblades so we could get around the neighborhood faster.
Yeah, you were thinking, okay, so you were on a speed run and you really filled up a couple pillowcases that night.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Favorite Halloween candy? There is a right answer, Jet.
Skittles.
Skittles is good. I'll give you that one. I was looking for Reese peanut butter cups.
You cannot go wrong with those. No,
You cannot. You cannot. Separately though, separately. Skittles and Reese peanut butter
no,
cups. I don't know
nothing.
about I don't know about that. Favorite Halloween movie?
Movie. I don't even know.
I'm not a big scary movie guy
Yeah, I
either.
feel like I haven't watched a lot of scary movies in my life, honestly.
Original Halloween is good.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll even, to be honest.
Original Halloween's good, and if I can make a suggestion, the critics didn't like it. The Rob Zombie remake of Halloween is pretty good too. So I can't watch like the demon possession stuff. I can't sit through that. It's not good. I want to ask you as well. You were drafted at the Sphere. Pretty wild venue. What was it like to be in there? And if you could see one act or artist in there, who would it be?
Yeah, it was cool there. The the big screen was a lot bigger than I thought too. It holds a lot of people, so the things they were putting up there were cool. And yeah, did the UFC did something there, didn't they? That'd be pretty cool to see maybe. I didn't see any videos or pictures of it, but I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Sporting
UFC would
event
be
there.
neat.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of fun for sure. I know you two played there a lot. I wish I could have seen that, but alas, I'll have to wait till next time. Jet, I really appreciate this. I want to ask you finally too, when you got the news that you were coming back to the Royal City, I'm sure that Danny Briere and Torts and all the brass there maybe gave you some parting advice, some stuff that you can work on this year, and just some good overall advice in terms of where your game's going to go. What's something that sticks out to you when you got sent back? What was something someone said that was encouraging, or something that you remember every day now when you get up and you get ready for practice?
Yeah, I just think that, they were pretty happy with my game and I stayed longer than I thought and that everyone else would think. So that's the kind of that's what I think about, and that's kind of the positive, take back that I can take from the whole experience.
Absolutely, man. Well, let me tell you, fans and us up in the booth, everybody, we're excited that the Royal City Jet is back in town. Jett Luchanko, thanks so much for doing this, man. Congrats on all your success so far. We're going to be watching you no matter what happens. And when you're eventually in a Flyers uniform permanently, look, I'm a Caps fan, but I will be cheering for you in orange, white, and black. All right, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You should be incredibly proud of what you've done, and I can't wait to see you at the rink again, man. Thanks so much for doing this, Jet.
Thank you very much. No problem.
All right, everybody, remember you can find this podcast on all your favorite podcast apps, the Guelph Storm website, their social media. And if you want to come see Jett Luchanko, we call him the Royal City Jet for a reason. He can fly. You want to see him this year, you go to the box office at the Sleeman Center or the Guelph Storm website and get your tickets. We'll be back next week with more Eye of the Storm.